Good morning, I'm Councillor Lynch on today's July 27th. It's about 9:30 in the morning and we're here with a group of folks to come clean up the city. We're inspired by Easthampton Media's video about picking up plastics and what they can do to the community and how detrimental they can be. So Councillor Zaret and I collaborated and put a group together here. Hopefully this will be the first installment of many where we can come out and really beautify what it is that we have, our community and our city. What I think is important is educating the youth, like little Billy here. Say hi, Billy.
Hi.
And you know, educating the generations below us to really make sure that they're protecting and we're protecting what we want to leave them, and be proud of that with us.
Hi, I'm Councillor Owen Zaret, and as Bill mentioned, I think one of the important things that he said was that hopefully this will be the first of many. I think that cleaning up your community shouldn't be a one-off deal. It should be something that we invest in together as councillors, as residents, as people invested in the community, business owners, etc., to make sure that we're maintaining our community. We have all these beautiful resources out here, Mount Tom, the pond, this beautiful boardwalk that we've built. We need to keep our community clean. We see the farmers market right across the street here today, which is one of the many embodiments of the natural work that we're doing in the town and really embracing our natural resources. As Bill mentioned, we have Mary Klein here and Jose Mediavilla, two people who really have been practicing what they've been preaching about conservation, about stewardship, and about cleaning up our community. Certainly, as city representatives, we need to think more about how we're being responsible about what we throw in the trash, the plastics that we use, the materials that we use, the energy that we're using in the city. We're relying on fossil fuels and needing to rely more on more renewable energy sources. So that's something certainly I think I'll be thinking about, and I think Bill will be thinking about too going forward, is how we can make our city more energy friendly in regard to renewables, as well as how we can create policy to reduce trash that is non-biodegradable. So again, thanks to our guests, Mary Klein from the Pascomic Trust and Jose Mediavilla, who has been a really wonderful activist in the community. Many of you have seen the Easthampton Media and the Valley Advocate, a recent article in the Gazette about the great work he's doing, making our community aware of how we're polluting our communities and how we need to clean up better. So again, hopefully we'll make this a regular installment, a regular program, and hopefully Bill and I and our colleagues will work together to make more policy for the city that is more friendly to the trash that we're throwing out, recyclables, renewable energy, etc. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Mary Klein and to talk a little bit about conservation in our community. And thank you. Thanks.
Hi everybody, I'm Mary Klein. I'm a longtime board member of Easthampton's all-volunteer conservation organization, the Pascomic Conservation Trust. And I just wanted to spend a couple minutes and talk about our latest and greatest project, which is a collaboration between the Trust, the Kestrel Trust, and the City of Easthampton. And the purpose of this project is to protect 23 acres on the slopes of Mount Tom. And that recently closed, real estate closing, so it's officially happening. And I brought a graphic that I could explain exactly what we're doing there. And hopefully you can see this, but this is East Street here. And there's actually two parcels of land, 11 acres and 12 acres, totaling 23. There's an old road that goes up to here. There was a house here up until a few months ago where it was taken down. So the plan is to make a trail and a trailhead parking area. We're going to have an accessible trail. Maybe some of you have been to the accessible trail that Pascomic Trust built on East Street, Muttersfield Accessible Trail that we finished a few years ago. This trail is going to be modeled on that trail, and so it will be another opportunity for people of all abilities in Easthampton to get out into nature and experience our beautiful environment. And so we'll have walking areas, there'll be slightly more difficult trails. There'll also be access to the New England Scenic Trail, which is up there, and you can get there now, but it's not nearly as easy as it will be once we put this new trail in. So that's what we've been doing, and we're doing it for the city of Easthampton, and coming up in the next few months we're going to be starting a fundraising effort, and we really hope that we get your support. Speaking of support, I want to thank Councilor Zaret as well as Councilor Lynch and any other, nope, there's just two of them here, for their support of land protection and conservation in Easthampton through their work with the city. So thanks again for your support, and get out in nature and enjoy the beautiful place that we live in. Thank you.
Nice job.
Hi, my name is Jose, and I prepared something. It's about 15 minutes long, and it could be hard to listen to, but I promise that I end on a good note. And basically, I want to share what motivates me and why I do what I do. And the first thing I like to share is a slightly reworded quotes from the book of Ecclesiasticus, written by Jesus, son of Zaret. I must confess that I don't believe in everything that is written in the Bible, hence my audacity to reword it, but I do get inspiration to do what I do from reading these texts. So here goes. To fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom and discipline. Those who fear the Lord prepare their hearts and humble themselves. Wisdom teaches her children and gives help to those who seek her. But at first she will walk with them on tortuous paths. She will bring fear and dread upon you and torment you by her discipline, and she will test you with her ordinance. But do not reject the counsel of wisdom. Bend your shoulders and carry her, and do not fret under her bonds. Come to wisdom with all your soul, and keep her ways with all your might. Search out and seek, and wisdom will become known to you. And when you get hold of wisdom, do not let her go. One who is wise is cautious of everything. When lack of understanding is all around, one guards against wrongdoing. Whoever loves wisdom loves life. Without knowledge, there is no wisdom. Never speak against the truth, but be ashamed of your ignorance. Fight to the death for truth, and the Lord God will fight for you. In great and small matters, cause no harm, and do not become an enemy instead of a friend. Glorify God and exalt him as much as you can, for she made all things. And by his word, all things hold together. We could say much more, but could never say enough. Let the final words be, she is the all. I think my rewording is obvious. Masculine and feminine are equally important to me, especially when men are born out of women. Why only refer to God as a man? Who is God? What is God? All I know for certain is that there is an infinite intelligence that orchestrates the natural world. Nature is a mystery. Even today, scientists are still debating how it all came to be, how it works, and why we are here. The natural world is truly something special, yet we are totally dependent on a system that is exploiting, destroying, and neglecting the very foundations of life. Leachate from landfills full of plastics are poisoning groundwater, rivers, and lakes. Toxic plastic litter breaks into microplastics that fish eat. The microplastics travel from the intestines of the fish into the meat of the fish. And when people catch the fish, they're eating the microplastics, vehicle fluids from road runoff, leakage from septic tanks, and high concentrations of mercury. Toxic algae blooms from nitrates and polluted waters are affecting many areas throughout the U.S. These blooms can cause brain damage to humans that breathe it in and drink the water. The Gulf of Mexico is so polluted that it has dead zones that is about the size of Massachusetts. Millions of animals die every oil spill. They die of suffocation and hypothermia. Do you know how many oil spills there have been? Are you aware that oil spills take place in the United States? You wouldn't want to live where citizens are exposed to oil spills and people are suffering from contaminated waters and getting massive tumors. 700 million people die premature deaths every year from breathing toxic air pollution. Up to 12.7 million tons of plastic enters the world's oceans every year. Microplastics are in our air, water, and food. They come from synthetic clothes, tires, and improper disposal of plastic waste. Some recycling never gets recycled. It ends up getting burned or gets shipped to another country where it sits in large piles and the sun makes it break into tiny pieces that find their way into rivers. Animals are eating plastics, choking on plastics, suffocating on plastics. Life is hard enough for animals in the wild, yet our industrial system has created hell on earth for all the innocent lives that live as God intended. I am fortunate to be born human being on this planet. I would not have liked to have been born a sea turtle that dies as a young hatchling from eating a stomach full of plastic, or born a baby bird that dies from my own parents unknowingly feeding me pieces of plastic litter like cigarette butts. That's enough bad news. Or is it? How much bad news must we absorb before we have the proper motivation to play our role as caretakers of the natural world that our children must live in? I don't drink alcohol because they contain pesticides which are killing endangered bees that we need to pollinate 70% of our food. And they're killing hummingbirds as well. Consuming pesticides increases chances of cancer by 41%. I read that wine industry emits 5 times more carbon into the atmosphere than all vehicle exhaust. I do my best to eat from local and ethical farms as much as possible because the factory farms emit at least 14% of carbon dioxide emissions, 37% of methane emissions, which are 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide, and 65% of nitrous oxide, which is 310 times more potent than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. The animals are also being treated with such torturous methods that are so horrible that even I avoid watching documentaries like Earthlings that shows what happens to animals at factory farms and slaughterhouses. I haven't bought anything with plastic in the last couple of months, and I only buy organic and non-GMO from the grocery store. I still crave a steak from Corsello's because they have meat from ethical local farms, and I crave pasture-raised eggs from Cold Spring. But so far, I've been doing all right without animal production. My last electric bill was $1.20 for power supply. I changed my supplier to Clean Choice Energy, supporting 100% renewable solar and wind energy. I only wear natural clothing made of cotton and wool because I don't want to wash synthetics that spread microplastics. I don't even wear shoes because they are made of petroleum and spread microplastics as well. At some stores, they tell me that my bare feet are a health hazard. So I'm grateful to Irene Garjan for gifting me a pair of flip-flops made of natural rubber that I can wear in those places. I have noticed benefits from earthing, which is what they call walking barefoot outdoors these days. Scientists are discovering many health benefits to grounding our energy in this way. It's said to improve our sleep. Personally, I noticed that the heat doesn't bother me as much as it does others. Maybe it's helping me adapt. I am aware that the energy from the grid here in Easthampton is 40% from natural gas, an industry that fracks the earth with hundreds of chemicals and poisons well water for citizens that live near fracking sites. People that drink the poisoned water have serious health issues, and it even causes their teeth to shatter. I feel bad when I plug the fan or charge my phone. I try to keep the lights off at night and use a solar flashlight instead. I even keep my fridge and my stove unplugged. I stopped trying to entertain myself with movies and TV. Instead, I watch educational videos on YouTube. I use Facebook to write to the mayor, sign petitions, get news about climate change and ecosystem restoration camps, to support the efforts of nonprofit organizations, and to share information with people about issues geared with possible solutions. I feel like what I do is not nearly enough, and I have a lot of growing to do and many more sacrifices to make. I also know that no matter what I do, I cannot change the world on my own. So I engage with the public by holding signs and raising my voice in the streets. Positive change is possible. Permaculture design can guide us towards solving so many of our problems with ecologically functional design. We can use it for our towns, cities, farms, businesses, and governance. Permaculture is two words put together: permanence, to endeavor in indefinitely, and culture, that which sustains human existence on the planet. When 99% of scientists are warning that we are causing the sixth mass extinction, I see no other realistic solution, especially when scientists are telling us we need net zero carbon emissions by 2050, and solar and wind energy still has a significant carbon footprint in production and maintenance. Permaculture has ethics: earth care, people care, and return of surplus back towards earth care and people care. The use of this design science has proven successful in transforming deserts into food forests, creating a paradise of perennial fruits and vegetables that is also a paradise for the animals raised in them. Permaculture teaches us how to create drought-proof farms, have yields 8 times greater than conventional farming, increasing fertility of the soil over time, constructing homes that heat themselves in the winter and stay cool in the summer simply by design. There are even practical ideas for infinite sustainable energy with compressed air burning technology and trompe systems that collect compressed air passively from streams. Corporations are destroying the planet to cater to unnecessary human conveniences, perpetuated by an economic system that we invented out of our own flawed imaginations. There is no such thing as infinite growth in a finite planet. Corporations are not people. Dividends don't exist in the real world. This economic game of monopoly does not even value the source of all the resources. Multinational corporations are literally behaving like murdering psychopaths, plundering the earth to fulfill their legal obligation to maximize profits to benefit a few shareholders. They are legal persons who get sued, and no one spends time in jail for the business decisions they make that destroy the environment and cause serious harm to poor communities around the world. We are all enslaved by this corporate empire of competition, ignorance, and greed that keeps us so comfortable and entertained. We must join the rebellion of truth, cleanse, regenerate, and coexist with the Earth's ecosystems by using permaculture design to supply our needs sustainably. Instead of maximizing profits, corporations should return surplus back towards earth care and people care. We must end corporate personhood so that there can be justice. We must ban disposable plastics because although cleanups like these are helpful, we must solve a problem by stopping it at its source, especially when alternatives to plastics exist. Some are even edible. We must support renewable energy because to continue with business as usual and ignore 99% of scientists is a detriment to the future of our children and all future generations. Writing to our representatives about these issues is the least that we can do. As citizens, we have an opportunity to participate in our government and affect change if we work together. Since I was a child, my mother taught me to clean up my mess. In the Marine Corps, we lined up, scanned the ground for litter, and picked it up to properly dispose of it on a routine basis. In permaculture, I learned not to produce any waste. Some mushroom mycelium can eat plastics with their powerful enzymes. They can even clean up contaminated soils from oil spills and remove heavy metals. Micro-remediation is cheap and effective. Our urine can fertilize soils. Our feces can be composted and fed to trees instead of causing septic leakage issues. With biogas digesters, we could turn our sewage waste into biogas that can be burned to heat our homes and cook our meals, instead of contributing to a gas industry that fracks the earth and poisons well water. We can grow forests, food forests, instead of mowing lawns, sequestering carbon and feeding ourselves nutritious perennial vegetables and fruits at the same time. We could change our economy to be functional with the natural world instead of being at odds with it. With freedom and access to scientific facts at our fingertips comes great responsibility. Say that again because of the motorcycle. With freedom and access to scientific facts at our fingertips comes great responsibility. Change from a negative impact to a very positive impact is possible, but we must first have the courage to face the truth and accept the facts of our contribution towards such a destructive system. Ignorance is not bliss. The truth does not set you free. It beckons you to change. Individual change is very important, but we will not be successful unless we act as a community and work together towards human evolution to an ecologically sane society with permaculture design and our caring and loving hearts for this majestic mystery of life that God created. You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to God in heaven. I give thanks to our Creator and thanks to you all for listening to me rant and for participating in such a noble effort to clean up our mess. Thanks.
I think it went pretty well today. I did better than you did, apparently. Beat the resident expert in the pickup, but honestly, I think the message is good. I think the community should support it, should support your message. I think it's pretty noble of you to kind of come out and put yourself out there, and we had a successful cleanup day. And you know, any other final words?
I hope that we could inspire people to go out and do this type of stuff more often, and definitely like at least, you know, send some letters down to some representatives about some important issues. Like,
Absolutely.
that's what I hope.
Absolutely.